Inspirational Creatives, episode 286. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here and welcome back to Inspirational Creatives. What a strange year it's been, hasn't it? This is the first episode of 2020 and already it's mid-October. Here we are. The last episode I recorded was with my business mentor, or one of my business mentors, Neil Foley, back in December 2019. And who knew what kind of year was going to be ahead of us this year? So I paused the podcast. That was deliberate. I was going to bring the podcast back to you March, April time this year. But it didn't feel right to do that. And it didn't feel right to go in the same direction that I was going in terms of the interviews that I was doing and some of the content that I was providing. But with all that's happened this year with COVID, coronavirus and lockdowns and all the rest of it, I've learned that actually some of the themes and topics from this very podcast have been really important themes and topics for many of you in terms of navigating a new life, a new creative life, for 2020 and beyond. For many, it's been a very challenging year so far, with foundations being rocked. And to a great extent, I feel we've all been challenged with having to reevaluate our own lives and lifestyle, as well as our values and what we truly believe in and who we care about, I suppose. It's been a time where job security, if there is such a thing, is at much higher risk. And for others, it's been a time of possibility and opportunity, perhaps working in a new career, market or industry as a consideration. On my radar, both as a coach and as a creative, one thing I've noticed is a heightened interest and uptake in folks wishing to go it alone, so to speak, perhaps thinking of starting their own business or career, venturing out as a freelancer or entrepreneur. In this episode and the next one, I want to share with you some of the wisdom of one of my own business mentors, Neil Foley, to help you get started with looking at some of those new possibilities and opportunities, if that's something you would like to do. Now could be a great time to capitalise on an idea you have for a new venture or business, or maybe you're an artist or creative with a great idea that wants to share what you have with the world. So to dive in then, in episode 285, which was my interview with Neil at JMS Studios in Norfolk last year, I asked Neil about where to get started. We'll go more into this in episode 287, but for now, I just want to reflect on Neil's wisdom about what you could be thinking about if you've got a new idea for a business or venture. So in my interview with Neil, we started to discuss some of the challenges of self-promotion and marketing, which I know is a creative block for many of us, and finding the right customers to put our new ideas or business out into the world. We discussed some of the benefits and challenges of social media, but also some of the fears and concerns that folks have, like you and me, when it comes to first marketing our services out into the wider world. I mean, where do you get started? Who do you market to? And what are those potential customers thinking about you? In episode 285, I tried to understand from Neil what is the number one thing that we need to be thinking about when we're first presenting a new idea or some new services or products even out into the wider world. Here's what he had to say.
Who do you trust? And for me, marketing is more now about awareness and trying to say, look, I've got some expertise. I know what I'm doing. Let me give you some information. Let me show you how valuable I am. And the more you do that, the more, one, people will be going onto your website or looking at your social media or your posts. But secondly, you're becoming the go-to person. And that's essential. I mean, that's what the They Ask You Answer book was all about, is become the go-to person. Don't hold anything back. Give people information because they can find it anyway. And what you'll do in most cases is people think, okay, I can understand it, but actually I want you to do it, or let's have a conversation. So I think, in my experience, marketing now is far more about giving knowledge away and information and being the expert in your niche, as you said, the right client, rather than trying to talk to everybody. Because if you talk to everybody, that'll never work. Yeah. Never did, but it certainly doesn't work now.
So if you've got a new idea for a business or a venture, a product or a service, one of the most important things you can think about is who is it for? By getting absolutely crystal clear on specifically who it is what you have to offer is for, can greatly help you define the market or niche that you could be operating in. In that clip, Neil reveals to us that marketing is much more than just creating awareness. It's also about sharing your expertise. It's not so much about who you are and what you stand for, although, of course, that stuff is really, really important. It's more about being a helpful person that can help others find what it is that they need to know or what it is that they're looking for. Maybe you're somebody who can help them solve a problem or see the world in a different way. By becoming the go-to person in a niche that you care about, you are demonstrating to your potential customers who you are, what you know, and why they should trust you. Neil teaches us that what's important in marketing today is that you are, as an individual, demonstrating that you are a caring, honest and interested person who can help others save a lot of time or money trying to find out what it is that they need to solve a specific challenge or problem they may have. Neil reveals that information is almost freely available anywhere. People don't really put a price or a value on information as such. They'll pay for you to collate that information or put some specific information together, i.e. curating that information. But what people really value is people who know a lot about a subject or a specialist problem, perhaps, that you can solve. With that in mind, Neil suggests not holding back when it comes to communicating with your potential audience or customer base in terms of what it is that you know, perhaps by answering frequently asked questions or adding some value to that community in terms of a specific problem that you've been able to solve in a very unique way. So whilst for many of us getting started with a new idea or venture, we've got challenges around marketing and market positioning. Another challenge is around pricing. How much do we charge for our services or our product? Well, if we've got a unique product or service, then that can be a little bit more difficult than having one that's already established. So there we're dealing with competition and pricing. So these themes came up in episode 285, and this is what Neil had to say about that. You mentioned a leap of faith there and having the confidence to put your price up. What do you feel or what do you think is behind that in terms of that lack of confidence? You know, you work very closely with a lot of people. Are there any themes or threads that you see there in terms of, is this a self-worth thing or is this what is it? Is it imposter syndrome or something like that that's going on?
It's probably a mixture of all that, isn't
it?
I mean, imposter syndrome's everywhere, isn't it? Yeah. And we're all going to have that at different times. It's probably worrying a bit too much about the competition.
Okay.
Because none of us are doing anything unique. I was talking to somebody the other day who's a member of the Growth Club and very, very good at what he does. He mentioned there's over 50 videographers, which is his skill set, just in our city. And it's very easy to get yourself in this mindset that, the competition's massive and therefore price is really important. And actually that's not the case. The reality is if people are using a videographer, they're going to try and work out who's the best videographer for them if they're going, if it's a wedding they want or if it's a business or, So you're looking then for the expertise that they've got and the experience, which is where the podcasts come in because you demonstrate expertise like that. So I think there is self-worth, there's imposter syndrome, worrying too much about the competition. And ultimately, it feels a risk, doesn't it, to say. And actually, I suppose the caveat you have to add is you need to be good.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're okay and you're average and a little bit shoddy and the rest of it, then actually putting your prices up might be suicide.
Yeah.
But if you're delivering a good service to the best of your ability,
yeah,
actually just have some confidence. But I appreciate that's not easy.
So there's a lot in there to unpack. Too much for today's short action episode, but I hope Neil's wisdom gives you lots of fruitful food for thought and plenty of ideas as to how you can be thinking about marketing, pricing, and also your mindset towards competition. To summarise then, you can add value to a community or market by sharing what you know to become a trusted and credible source of information. People will find out about you that way. You don't need to worry about the competition. You are unique and you have to have belief in yourself. You're the right fit for someone. And I always think of it like everyone needs a dentist. Dentists are everywhere, but there are different dentists that are suitable for different people. And by the way, a single dentist can't serve everyone. Neil also suggests that you look closely at your pricing. You obviously don't want to price yourself too low so that you're not in business, but you don't want to price yourself too high in case your product or service is not good enough yet. Pricing can be a delicate experiment between the service or product, the value that you offer, and what it is that your market or community is willing to pay for that value. As Neil suggests, if you're giving a good service to the best of your ability, it's important that you have confidence in yourself, your product or your service, and also have confidence in yourself that you will make it better too by listening to feedback and looking at ways that you can improve what it is that you do and what it is that you offer. Then hopefully you'll go a long way. I hope some of these ideas and Neil's wisdom inspired you today. Let me know by dropping me a note at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com. Of course, you can hear much more of Neil's wisdom in the last episode, episode 285, which you'll find on the episodes page on inspirationalcreatives.com. And you'll hear from Neil again in the next episode, 287, where we look at, in some more detail, some of the fundamental basics that are needed in terms of mindset when it comes to launching your new idea or business out into the world. Thanks for listening. Join me again this Friday for another episode of Inspirational Creatives. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there.